Hello and welcome to Addiction Recovery Revolution. I'm your host, Debbie Nelson, and I'm pleased to introduce Pati Reiss. I've met Pati working with her on the Alliance for Addiction Solutions. Hello, Pati.
Hi, Debbie.
I'm passionate now about your work because I've been introduced to it via the Alliance, and I feel that the work is so powerful and so vital for long-term recovery because the more that I've learned of how this greatly can shift and increase people's chances and stop cravings and depression and all of the things that feed addiction. I just feel as passionate, I think, as anyone else that once you get and learn this, that you want to share it with the world because it's something that's just really not addressed. So I'd love for you to just tell us what your background is and your story.
Okay. I'd love to. I am in recovery. I have 12 years sobriety. I am also currently running the Alliance for Addiction Solutions. I'm the president of that organization. And the Alliance for Addiction Solutions was started by the pioneers in this mental health nutrition field many years ago. Oh my goodness. 8 years ago, maybe I got that wrong, 9 years ago. Julia Ross, Carolyn Rubin, Stan Stokes, Charlie Gant, Hyla Cass, Christina Veselak, all of these pioneers that come from different backgrounds with integrative health and nutrition and psychiatry came together and created this community, which is the Alliance for Addiction Solutions. So we're an educational community networking hub, and many of us have private practices in different parts of the country, and then we also, along with the Academy for Mental Health and Nutrition and Addiction, do trainings on healing the brain through nutrition and amino acid therapy and integrative therapies as well too. We introduce that to folks too, but our main purpose is to bring that nutrition missing link in and the biochemical piece, feeding the brain first, as we like to say, getting it online.
Right. And I think that's kind of a piece. Everyone talks about addiction being a brain disease, but no one ever talks about what to do to heal the brain.
Exactly.
Or what we can do to change it. Somehow there's kind of this disconnect in particular, I would say, in the Western part, is that we have this huge disconnect that the brain needs to have nutrition just the same as any other organ in our body. And I think that component is so often not addressed in traditional settings, and yet it's science.
Exactly. I agree, and that's part of why we're doing education and we're creating a community so people can get more information. And many of us are not taught about nutrition. I mean, it's not in the school system.
Right.
I mean, I was and I still am a certified health coach, but I went through my own addiction 12 years ago. I have 12 years sobriety, as I mentioned earlier. When I was getting certified as a health coach, I was drinking organic wine, I was smoking organic pot, I was eating as healthy as I could because I wanted to still do that and be healthy. And really it's a contradiction, and I knew that, but I didn't know what to do to repair my brain back then. And I went through a near-death experience with alcoholism. I'm happy to be here. And I'd like to share my story just because I feel it's certainly empowering to the people who hear it, who have felt extreme anxiety, depression, and for me, close to suicide.
I think what's interesting is along the path, we all kind of, I think that I always tell everyone when something resonates with you, then move on it. When I moved on doing energy healing, I sat next to someone and immediately she said, I think the reason I was supposed to meet you was you need to know the work of Julia Ross. And I said, oh, okay, I think I've heard about that, but I don't know. She said, no, I'm serious. You really need to know the work of it. Once I was introduced to that and started to read that, it was such a different mentality and so empowering.
Right.
so very empowering in comparison to just saying, well, you know, like I said, I walked in abusing these drugs and walked out with these to deal with it.
Right.
Never addressing the biochemical aspect in nutrition. So what you do is really special because you are extremely knowledgeable when it comes to the nutritional component, and that's what you do is you coach people through all of this.
Right. Exactly. So I'm going to share that with you. I am, just to back up a little bit, I found out about this work by finding Julia Ross's book, The Mood Cure, 15 years ago. And then I went and did her initial training and since then has studied and now I'm one of the trainers in the Academy for Mental Health and Addiction Nutrition. My area is the food. I am a certified holistic health coach. I'm also a certified nutrition recovery coach using food, nutrient therapy, and amino acid therapy to help repair the brain. I'm also a holistic chef, and I believe we're all chefs, holistic chefs. And we can learn more about that by getting into our kitchens and preparing food, the pro-recovery 5-star food that we recommend to heal the brain. And to me, the pro-recovery 5-star diet that I'm going to show you a meal with today is a regular, to me, it's just life eating. But for people in early recovery, they can't miss a meal. We want to make sure they're getting in the right proteins, the right fats, the right complex carbs for them personally. So there's some personalization that we bring into our education. The food can be delicious, but we do have to eat. So supplements, amino acids are fantastic, but we have to feed the brain with good, whole, clean food. And again, it can be delicious. So I'm excited to share one of my recipes. That's the quickest one that I go to. Anything else, or should I just start in?
No, go ahead. I mean, I think that's the component that most people, they get so frightened about, well, I don't like this, I don't like that. And it's amazing. One of the things that I've learned is that the more your body starts to recognize how great you feel when you eat right, you start craving the food that actually is good, and your palate changes.
Right.
So the things that you used to think, so I always tell everyone, just kind of open your mind, because what you used to think you love, you all of a sudden will eat it again and say, I really feel horrible after eating this.
Right. Well, and that's for addressing the cravings too. But what I have found, and many of us have found eating the pro-recovery 5-star diet, is that basically you're eating, you need protein, and this is how I explain it to clients and students. You need protein, fats, and complex carbs, mostly veggies, on your plate 3 times a day, maybe with some snacks, depending if you're a fast metabolizer. And so those are the 3 main stars: protein, good fats, and complex carbs, mostly veggies. And then the 4th star is making sure the food is as clean as possible, because if we can clean it up and eat more organically and not have the toxins coming in, nobody can handle toxins, but particularly people in early recovery can't handle them. They're already trying to get rid of a lot of toxic load. So we need that organic, clean food, and it is affordable. And then the 5th star that we talk about is personalizing it. So what proteins are going to work for me may not be the same for you. And that's where we introduce other things like the blood type, allergy testing, Ayurvedic medicine, and metabolic rate. And that's a little further down. So, but it's a food plan for life. It just happens to be really vital in early recovery, because we need to feed our brains. Our neurons and neurotransmitters are fed through our food.
Right.
So we need to get that in. And again, you're right, it's science. Why isn't this in more schools? Well, we're hoping that's going to change.
Well, that's what we're crusading. That's what part of this is all about, is getting the message out to people that it can be done, and we can teach it to our children. We can do it. So have at it. What are you going to make for us?
Okay, so what I'm going to make today is I'm going to make a healthy peanut butter and jelly. And that was one of my go-tos growing up. But of course, when I was growing up, it was white bread and Skippy and probably like high sugar jelly. So I craved it, and then I felt horrible after that. So this is a quick one for me because it's something I can go to quickly if I don't have things prepared. What we teach in our program, mostly in my program, is having your refrigerator stocked with the right things so you can come up. But this is a quick one. So we're going to use, I'm going to use a sourdough bread, but I want to show you two other options. Okay. So I'm using, hold on, let me just get my other bread. For this recipe, I'm using a sourdough spelt ancient grain bread. Now,
Okay.
I'm blood type A, I do okay with some grains. So the other options could be Ezekiel, that's another bread I would recommend. Some people do really well with the sprouted wheat. And then there's also gluten-free. So this is Food for Life, gluten-free bread. People can use that. And some people don't want bread at all. It just triggers them. So you can actually use a sweet potato.
Oh, wow. I've never thought of that.
Yeah, so this is just a sweet potato I baked in a little coconut oil and sea salt. Or you can use, rice crackers. These are just, if you don't have bread or you have rice crackers you can use rice crackers. So
Okay.
there's options to make it quick. Okay, so I'm going to use my spelt sourdough that I do really well with. And I'm going to do a layer at first of ghee. Okay, ghee is a clarified butter. There's no milk solids in it. And I'm just going to put a layer of, and good fats are really important. It is a saturated fat, but as Dr. McCullough is doing so much work on how much we need some saturated fats, ghee in Ayurvedic medicine is called liquid gold. So it's a really digestible form of butter. You can also cook with ghee in high heat. So this is always in my kitchen.
Okay.
My favorite good fats. So I put a layer of ghee.
In comparison, would you say flavor-wise to butter? How would someone palate-wise is it
The same.
same? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think,
Yeah,
I
I'll
actually
benefit.
sometimes refer to it as lobster butter because when we used to melt the butter to dip lobster in years ago, that's what floats up, that golden liquid, and all the milk solids go to the bottom. So that's basically what ghee is. It's clarified butter. There isn't much difference of a taste, maybe slightly. I actually like it a little bit better than butter. So I'm going to do a layer of that. And generally, a lot of our clients and probably need a little bit more fat too. I'm going to use almond butter for this one. Almond butter is a lot more digestible for most people. Peanut butter is another option, or other nut butters, but some people are allergic to peanuts. So you have to get the right nut butter for you. So I'm going to use almond butter, which tends to be across the board just a better butter, a better nut butter. So I'm just going to spread that right on top of the ghee, on top of my toast. Really simple. Almond butter is kind of pricey. I like to get it in the jar. This is a Woodstock brand. It's non-GMO'd and it's in glass and it's fine. I mean, it's, some of the organic almond butters are prohibitive for some people. So I override that. I do try to get organic peanut butter if I can. It's less expensive. So I wanted to put that in. So I did a layer of the ghee, a layer of the almond butter, and now I'm going to sprinkle hemp seeds. So this is like by far one of my favorite superfoods, always in my refrigerator. Once you open the bag, I usually stick it in the refrigerator. So I put it in a jar. But hemp seeds are phenomenal. They have protein, omega-3 fats, and a tiny bit of chlorophyll. So they are by far one of my favorites. I'm going to sprinkle them on top of the almond butter, just like that. I'm already salivating a little bit. So, and now I'm going to just put some fresh fruit on the top because it's summertime here. I have some fresh organic strawberries and I'm just laying them on the top like this. Okay, and I'll come closer in a minute. So I'm just laying the fresh strawberries on top. If I have to do this in the winter months and I don't have strawberries, I will use a really low sugar organic jam. There's many that don't have a lot of sugar in them, if none. Some don't even add any extra sugar. You could get a no, because fruit's sweet enough, so you really don't need to have any extra sugar. But I'll do a little bit of sweet in there because we're trying to get back to that peanut butter and jelly we loved growing up. And that's part of this too, is upgrading, you know, just taking some of the recipes you love. This is one of my favorites. I grew up on it because I did. We had a big family. And then upgrading it. So now I'm gonna, so what I like to put on top, and I know this might sound a little odd, but it's delicious, is I'm going to, there's two choices. There's microgreens, which are sold in many grocery stores now. They're just a small little green. So you can either do microgreens. These are microgreens. So I'm going to put half microgreens on. You could either do microgreens like that on top, or you could do broccoli sprouts. So I have broccoli sprouts. Broccoli sprouts are another incredible nutrient-dense food that I have always in my fridge if I can remember. And I'm going to throw broccoli sprouts right on the top of that. And this is it. Whoa.
Whoa.
Can you see that?
Yes. It looks, well, see, that looks good to me.
Does it?
It does. It looks really good.
So it is actually really good. And then you just get to take a bite of it.
Yeah. Now, one thing that I've pointed out, and it's funny because I've talked to clients and they'll talk about the expense of organic, for instance. You know, well, that's so much money. And then I'll quickly say, well, how much money did you spend getting a Domino's pizza? How much money is a foot long at Jimmy John's? Most people don't even begin to think that they wouldn't think twice to drop $20 on a pizza with a tip to get delivery, but somehow getting a jar of nut butter feels super expensive in comparison to like Skippy. But really, when you start looking at, like you said, the convenience, because you have to have convenient things in your home. Now, one of the things I've learned from Patti, because she coaches, is brain balls. Like she taught a class on brain balls. I myself make those, her recipe, and love it, because all of a sudden I find myself when I'm, you know, cranky, hangry, all of those things, it's something easy that I'm able to eat quickly. And so that's kind of what you're trying to teach people, is because it's when we're starved like that we're susceptible to relapse thoughts, cravings. We're susceptible to eating, obviously, the wrong things that don't feed our body. And so we kind of, we spoke about that with Christina, because she talked about blood sugar.
Right.
But you are talking about doing it with doing, you know, what exactly are superfoods, because you're introducing superfoods into people, and so explain what a superfood is.
Okay, so just to back up about a meal, having a pro-recovery meal, quick one that I'm demonstrating today. Another quick one is hard-boiled eggs with some microgreens. That could be that's what I had for breakfast today because I had a client. So with some sea salt, you know, I mean, it can be that quick. So having hard-boiled eggs, proteins already in your fridge, and I'll get to the superfoods, greens, quinoa available. So looking, you know, I have clients look at their fridge and say, what do I need to prepare? And it doesn't have to be that complicated, but we have to have something in there that we can grab. And for me, one of the quickest things is hard-boiling eggs. Right. And the brain balls, because brain balls are in your fridge and you can pull them out and have them as a pro-recovery snack.
Right.
And we'll just cut that drop in blood sugar before you go out and pick up some sugar or, unfortunately, a drug of your choice. So
and that's what I mean, your brain ball recipe, just to let people know, I mean, because if this is like, you know, it's a tough thing when someone sits there, you're used to eating hamburgers or other things. My children, my 18-year-old son came home and he saw it, and I said, here, you know, try this, and you know, and he popped in his mouth, and he's actually eating them on a regular basis. My
Right.
children are eating them. So you can, I mean, they taste good food, good quality
Right.
food tastes great. And so
Yeah.
it's really just trying it. It's trying something like that.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, you know, even burgers, spaghetti, there's lots of things that we can upgrade that can be gluten-free. You're using grass-fed beef, maybe getting rid of the bun and having a beautiful salad with it and a sweet potato. There's a lot of things that you can make that are delicious, that will feed your brain and create new cells, and you'll feel happy. And then all of a sudden you realize, I'm still sober. And I don't have that anxiety moving in because I've missed a meal, you know, and we really believe it's a very dangerous cycle to miss a meal, and that's why we're providing more information about food and making sure food is prepared, or having it simple in the beginning. And for a lot of my clients, that could be like a pro-recovery shake. So there's lots of options, but I think I don't want to run out of time, but I want to respond to your superfoods. Superfoods are nutrient-dense foods. So sprouts, quinoa is considered a superfood because there's a lot of nutrient in the small amount of the food. Hemp seeds, goji berries. So there's a variety of different foods. Kelp, mulberries. There's a few superfoods out there that are chia seeds, hemp seed, not hemp, I said hemp, flax seeds. So there's foods that are more available to us now that weren't available, you know, even 10 years ago. We have more availability. More people are growing these foods, and they're making them more available. You can get hemp hearts at Costco.
Right.
You know, you don't have to go to, you know, a little small health food store and pay, you know, an arm and a leg for it. You can get it, and it's affordable. It's learning new ideas. And we all need to eat, you know, we all need to become cooks in some capacity.
Well, Pati, thank you so much for sharing your work and your passion. Like your energy is so contagious about this mission, just because you live it and you personally know the difference within your life. Quickly, I always like everyone to know how they can get in contact with you if they're interested in coaching, because just like we're talking back and forth, you can contract with Pati and she can be in your kitchen just like we're in her kitchen right now. The Alliance for Addiction Solutions is for anyone to join, professional.
Yeah.
Anyone to be able to
free newsletter. People can find us by transformingaddiction.com or the Alliance for Addiction Solutions. Sign up for our free newsletter. We post recipes. We are a community. My website is Pati Reise, Pati Reise.com, and people can reach me right through there. They can send me a message, and I respond.
Well, thank you for taking the time to share with us. Now I'm starving. I'm gonna go get something to eat.
I'm sorry, I'm like salivating at the rest of this meal. So
I know, it's like, and I've learned so much from you. Just like I said, doing those brain balls, it's all of a sudden a quick way to address blood sugar and address, you know, my body's need to keep in a good place. So
right.
I mean, your work is so vital for this community, and I think it's something that's really just not addressed. So thank you for taking the time.
It's an honor, and my last thought is just, it doesn't have to be complicated, but getting your food set up and connecting back in with your food is so vital, and you feel better, and that's what we want. We want people to feel better. So they stay sober, and they manage. They can actually move their anxiety out and their depression in some baby steps. But food is a big way to do that, along with their other therapies. So I'm honored, and happy eating and happy recovery.
Thank you, Pati.
Okay.